name is Sigrid Melchior. I'm a Swedish journalist here in Brussels since 2007. And I'm working 2 half-time jobs, one as a correspondent for a daily newspaper in Sweden and one as a Brussels expert for a European investigative journalism network. So a couple of years ago I was holding a journalist class for a week for journalists who want to understand EU politics. And one of the day we had, it was all about the EU budget and EU money spent on different things. And during that one-day class we had people coming from a local project, and that was an Interreg project. What is a good story, or a story, I think is just, it's fairly simple. It has to be new and it has to be interesting. So the reader has to read something that he or she didn't know before and think it matters for them. Any story with actual people in it is always more interesting, or it touches us more than something without humans. I think that is one element why people are less interested in EU politics than the purely national politics, because we don't have cases in the same way. This is the same thing in most European countries, but I know Sweden the best. And in Sweden we tend to be interested in European stories when they are, how to say it, in conflict with Sweden. I think it's the nature of news that when everything is running smoothly, that is not news. If there is a problem or conflict, that is news. The impact of a project, Interreg or any other regional project or any EU action, that is not one element. It's the key. It's the only thing that matters actually. If it's something big budget or small budget, but if it's something important that actually that makes a difference on the ground, it's important, and that is news. So I feel like it's almost like a flood. It's a flood of news. You have every day, you have decisions, you have proposals, you have votes, and a single day there would be, I don't know, 3, 5, 10 things that could be, in itself is news. And so you have to choose. It could be how important the outcome will be. This is a law that changes everything for a specific group of people. And then, of course, it has to do a lot with the national debate or the debate in general. So right now, people are very interested in the war in Ukraine, of course. It matters a lot for the readers. And that means also that everything that has to do with the war will get higher up on the kind of news scale. And also things that are not directly in connection to the war, but has to do with energy legislation. As a Brussels correspondent, what I'm interested in is not local projects. It's not describing them. It's about the budget in itself and how it's spent. Is it spent on the things it should be spent on? What you want as a journalist is just a phone number, basically. You just want to easily find someone who you can ask those questions. And it's not always on the website. And the background information is not on the websites either. So that would be the first step, to just put that easily accessible. This is how much money this project cost for these many years. This is the part coming from the EU budget. This is part coming from the national budget, if that is the case. Here's the contact details of the person who you could ask about this. I think that would do wonders. So if you want press for this project that you think is great, well, first of all, you have to think it's great. Otherwise, then people won't care about it. But if it is an interesting project, if it's an Interreg project that tries to solve a problem that exists because of borders, or because that exists in all these countries together, that is interesting. If I were you, I would reach out to local, regional journalists in all these countries. Maybe do a background briefing, for instance. You invite local reporters and connect them. What is important is to connect them to the actual people on the ground. What might be interesting for local journalists or regional journalists is to see some project close to where they are, and they see a direct impact. where they live and on the people who live there, but at the same time knowing that this is connected to other countries. In general, in some places, communication people tend to focus on trying to reach out, and when journalists reach out, they just close the door. So that would be the first thing, to always be accessible, to always let people contact you, or at least help journalists get in touch with people who can be quoted or can, talk about something concrete. Sometimes the information it's in different places. I did it before this interview, I just Googled like Interreg projects in Sweden, and there isn't just one website with a list, of course. It's 200 websites maybe, because every project has one, and it's not clear who they are for. I mean, sometimes it's promotion material, sometimes it's a website for the people working in that project. But it's not easy to find just the phone number to talk to someone, and it's not easy to find these background figures that you will need in the end to write your article. The issue when it comes to EU decisions is that there might be a debate in Sweden about something, but it doesn't reach the EU level. It reaches the Swedish policy level, and they go to Brussels, and that influences how the decisions they try to make here. But there's no EU-wide debate that actually connect the readers, the people, the voters, to the policymakers, to these EU decisions. There is no clear connection there. It all goes through national debates and then coming to Brussels. There is no EU media sphere. There's no EU people who have the same debate at once. But of course, whenever there is a big debate, policymakers are very much influenced by that. It's a problem for regional politicians they have to lobby their national politicians to go to Brussels and, vote for a bigger regional budget if that's what they want.